Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got an exciting deep dive into a coin that may seem humble at first, but it's got quite a fascinating story behind it: the 1979 1-cent coin. Whether you're a coin collector, history buff, or just curious about rare treasures hidden in your change jar, you won't want to miss this. Let's get started. First, let's take a look at the history of this coin. The 1979 1-cent coin, also known as the penny, is part of the U.S. Mint's long-running tradition of producing the copper-plated zinc coins that we see today. The story of the 1-cent coin itself dates back to 1793, when the U.S. Mint first struck the cent, making it one of the oldest circulating coins in the country. Now, in 1979, the penny went through some interesting changes that would affect its design and circulation. But before we get into the details of its specific year, let's quickly revisit the design of the penny itself. Since its inception, the penny has gone through several design changes. The original design, called the Liberty Head, was replaced by the iconic Indian Head in 1859, and eventually, in 1909, we got the Lincoln Memorial design. The reverse of the coin, featuring Abraham Lincoln, has remained the same ever since. However, it's the penny's reverse that was redesigned in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Now, let's focus on the 1979 penny specifically. In 1979, the penny still bore the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. The reverse of the coin showed the Lincoln Memorial, a design by Frank Gasparo, which had been in circulation since 1959. Here's what makes the 1979 penny unique in terms of design and composition. The coin is made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, giving it that familiar reddish-brown appearance. Weighing in at 2.5 grams and measuring 19.05 millimeters in diameter, it's the same size and weight as pennies struck since 1982, but it was produced slightly differently in terms of metal content before that. So, why is the 1979 1-cent coin so interesting? Well, there are a few reasons. First, while most 1979 pennies are common and have little to no added value, there are some special factors that can make a 1979 penny extremely valuable. Let's talk about the mint marks. You see, the U.S. Mint produces coins at different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The mint mark is typically located beneath the date, and in 1979, there were three main mint marks for pennies produced in that year: P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. Now, here's where things get really interesting. In 1979, there were several variants of the 1-cent coin, some of which are highly prized by collectors today. One of the most famous and valuable variants is the 1979 wide AM penny. The 1979 penny came in two versions, the closed AM and the rarer wide AM. The difference is subtle but important. On the wide AM penny, the letters A and M in America on the reverse are spaced wider apart, while the closed AM version has the letters closer together. This small difference can make the wide AM pennies incredibly valuable. So, how much could a 1979 penny be worth? Well, the value of most 1979 pennies is relatively low, usually just 1 cent, basically the face value. However, as with many coins, condition is everything, and the rarer variants can be worth much more. A 1979 penny in excellent condition, especially a wide AM, can fetch several $100s depending on the market and grading. In fact, one of the most expensive 1979 wide AM pennies ever sold went for over $20,000. That's right, $20,000 for a penny. So, while most of these coins are worth only a few cents, a rare one could mean a small fortune for collectors. If you're out there scouring through your spare change, how can you spot a rare 1979 penny? First, check the mint mark. If it's a 1979 S penny, you might have something interesting on your hands. But the key is really to look for that wide AM error. The best way to spot it is by looking closely at the spacing between the and M on the reverse side. If the letters are noticeably farther apart, congratulations, you might have a highly valuable coin. Over time, the the penny has come under scrutiny, especially as inflation has made it less and less practical to continue producing such a low-value coin. Some have argued for the elimination of the penny altogether. But for now, the U.S. Mint continues to produce them, and they remain a staple of American currency. Will the 1979 penny, or any penny for that matter, continue to hold value in the future? Only time will tell. But for coin collectors, the pennies from the 1970s, particularly rare variants like the 1979 wide AM, will likely remain a sought-after treasure. So there you have it, everything you need to know about the 1979 1-cent coin. From its historical significance to its potential value as a collector's item, the 1979 penny is a coin that holds a lot of surprises. If you happen to find a rare wide AM penny, you might just be holding on to a small fortune. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins and their hidden value, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below if you found any interesting coins. See you next time. This script should provide a thorough and engaging breakdown of the 1979 penny, its historical context, and its potential value. Feel free to tweak the pacing or tone depending on your channel's style and audience. Absolutely. Here's a detailed and engaging script for a YouTube video on the 1979 1-cent coin, focusing on its history, value, and how it can be worth a lot of money in circulation. The script is designed to be informative and thorough, with an engaging style for your audience. Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a coin that might seem simple at first glance but has a fascinating story and some surprising value. The 1979 1-cent coin, also known as the 1979 penny. You might think it's just another penny you could find in your change jar, but wait, there's more to this little coin than meets the eye. Stick with me as we explore its rich history, its value over time, and how it can actually be worth much more than just 1 cent. Let's get started. Let's first take a quick step back and talk about the history of the 1-cent coin itself. The 1-cent coin, or penny, is one of the oldest circulating coins in the United States. The very first 1-cent coin was minted in 1793, making it over 200 years old. Over time, the penny has undergone several design changes, but its primary purpose has always remained the same, providing a low-value piece of currency for small transactions. Throughout its history, the design of the penny has evolved. The first penny, known as the Liberty Head, was replaced by the Indian Head design in 1859. Then, in 1909, we saw the introduction of the Lincoln design, which has become synonymous with the penny and still appears on the obverse side of the coin today. Now, let's get to the 1979 penny. By 1979, the penny had been in circulation for well over a century, and it had seen its fair share of changes. While the design itself had remained consistent for a while, the composition and minting process were always evolving. But what makes the 1979 penny stand out among the crowd? Let's dive deeper. First off, let's break down the basic specifications of the 1979 1-cent coin. The 1979 penny, like most pennies minted in the 1970s, was made from a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This gave the coin its characteristic reddish-brown color, and it weighed in at 3.11 grams. It also had a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, which is pretty much the standard size for pennies of that era. Now, the most important thing to know about the 1979 penny is the design. On the obverse, you'll find Abraham Lincoln's portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design has been used since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1979 penny special, and how can it be worth more than 1 cent? Well, it all comes down to the mint marks, and most importantly, the different variants that came out of those mints. In 1979, 3 different mints were involved in producing the penny: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Each of these mints marked their coins with a letter on the reverse side of the coin. The D is for Denver, S is for San Francisco, and if there's no mint mark, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. But here's the really interesting part. there were certain variations in the way these pennies were produced. And this brings us to one of the rarest and most valuable types of the 1979 penny, the wide AM and closed AM variants. In 1979, the U.S. Mint made a slight error in some of the pennies they struck. Some 1979 pennies have what's called a wide AM error, where the letters A and M in America on the reverse side are spaced further apart. Most 1979 pennies have the closed AM variant, where the letters are closer together. If you come across a wide AM penny, you've got something potentially very valuable. Well, the value of a regular 1979 penny in good condition is still just 1 cent. But as we've seen, there are certain variants that can make your 1979 penny worth way more. A 1979 wide AM penny, for example, can fetch several $100s if it's in mint condition. And some of the really rare ones, graded at a high level by coin collectors, have sold for thousands of dollars. In fact, one of the most expensive 1979 wide AM pennies ever sold went for an astounding $20,000. That's right, $20,000 for a single penny. Now I know what you're thinking, where can I find one of these? And the truth is, it's incredibly rare to stumble upon one, but if you do, it could be a game changer for your coin collection. Alright, let's talk about how you can identify a valuable 1979 penny. The key is to carefully inspect the reverse side of the coin, especially the letters A and M in America. If they're spaced further apart than usual, congratulations, you might have a wide AM variant. Another way to tell is by getting the coin professionally graded. Professional grading services, like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, will assess the quality of the coin and assign it a grade. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin is. So, with the value of rare pennies like the 1979 wide AM being so high, what does the future hold for the penny? Over the years, there have been debates about whether the US should continue minting pennies at all. Inflation has made the penny less practical, and some people argue it costs more to make than it's worth. However, despite these discussions, the penny is still around for now, and collectors are still keen on finding those elusive rarities, like the 1979 wide AM. If you're into coin collecting, then the penny story is far from over, and the hunt for these rare coins is only going to get more exciting. So there you have it, the incredible history, value, and potential of the 1979 1-cent coin. While most pennies from this year are still worth just 1 cent, that rare wide AM variant can be a serious treasure. If you find one, you could be looking at a few hundred, or even thousands of dollars. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and comment below if you've found any interesting coins yourself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This script provides an in-depth overview of the 1979 penny, from its history to its value, while keeping the content engaging for viewers. It includes helpful visuals, key facts, and a breakdown of how to identify valuable pennies. You can adjust the tone and pacing to match your YouTube channel's style.